This video is sponsored by Atlas VPN. Emperor Belos has to be one of my favorite written villains in the Western animation sphere. The fact that someone who was born in a time period before electricity was even discovered was able to essentially survive by himself in a different dimension for hundreds of years, but also be smart enough to manipulate the entire civilization in this realm through a constant trial and error process, never being figured out for who he truly was after all those years, all for his twisted goal to wipe out all things related to magic. Believing what he was doing was a genuinely good thing that would save humanity, even going against his own moral code throughout the years if it meant he could achieve his goal. After all the crap this guy's been through, he just cannot seem to be defeated. So in this video, I wanted to go over the Owl House's big bad himself and figure out just how capable he is. If you're new to these types of videos, this is where I take a character from a show I like to list and calculate their feats to see just how strong they really are. But I don't know if he's as strong as the protection Atlas VPN can give you. If you've been on YouTube for even just 10 seconds of your life, there's a chance you've gotten an ad for a VPN somewhere. But I want to tell you guys what makes Atlas my favorite. A lot of standard VPNs only give you access to region-locked content, but don't really offer much else besides that. Meanwhile, Atlas will free my entire screen on a Wikipedia page for someone as it blocks ads, malware, and will even alert me if my data is compromised in any way. Atlas has my back and has even gotten me cash back, allowing me to get things like YouTube Premium for a super great deal. Normally, YouTube Premium is $12 a month here in the United States, but if I have my Atlas VPN set to Brazil, for example, the price drops all the way to $3.74 a month. And right now, Atlas is running a great Black Friday deal starting today. You should really steal this Black Friday deal now because you can get Atlas VPN Premium for just $1.70 per month, plus 6 months extra with a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's the best Atlas VPN offer of the year, so be quick to get your deal by clicking the link in the description below. It's a limited time offer, so the choice is yours. Have fun, save money, or be annoyed and broke. Atlas VPN, links in the description for this amazing deal. Now, back to Belos. Belos wasn't always the super powerful magic user we know in present day. In the beginning, he was just a normal guy named Philip Woodabane. We didn't really get much of a glimpse of how strong normal Philip was, but he looked to be around average strength for a guy his age, who I assume was someone in at least his 30s when Luz found him, considering how much facial hair this guy had. His center of gravity didn't seem to be super great, considering Lilith knocked him on his ass when she punched him. Though in contrast, he was strong enough to kill his older brother prior to him meeting Lilith and Luz. Obviously, these guys were both grown men during this duel, so there's no automatic older brother stronger than younger brother strength at play here from the age difference. Plus, Caleb was likely put in a situation where it was kill or be killed, and Caleb, being the kind person he was, likely fought defensively the whole time, which wouldn't end up being enough to stop Philip's aggression and hatred, thus costing him his life. Now for present-day Belos. After years and years of palisman consumption to stay alive for hundreds of years, even at the cost of his human form at times, Belos became much more powerful as a result. His physical strength became well above the average man, being able to hold Luz in midair with just one hand, showing zero struggle in doing so, even throwing her to the side afterwards with enough force to knock a table over. Considering Luz's age and height, I think it's safe to assume she weighs around 70 pounds, or if not a little more, and that's not too shabby of a fear right there, because that's probably pure shoulder strength. As for speed, the only thing we really have to go off of is when he went full beast form against Luz in King's Tide. While she was baiting him away from the portal door, he was moving so fast that he was able to suddenly appear in front of her during their chase, without her even noticing he was in front of her after a few seconds. You gotta remember how large he is in this form too, to be able to hide your presence like that is no joke. Plus, the raw strength he was trying to unleash while being held down by the Witch Kid crew was enough to have the entire head of the Titan shaking. Obviously, Belos has some great stats for speed and raw strength, though the majority of his power variety comes from his magical abilities. He's able to use various different glyph combos like the light glyph or glyph that allows him to teleport long distances. However, having access to this knowledge never really played a factor when it came to his fights. At this point in time, it would be almost out of character seeing this guy use glyphs in a duel, but I figured I'd mention it anyway instead of acting like it's not a thing he can do at all. His artificial magic staff seems to be more of a go-to, this staff being capable of creating exploding blasts similar to Hunter's, as well as do forms of mind-related magic, like when he was able to have Ida regain consciousness over her own body, though it wasn't enough to turn her back into her normal witch form. The rest of his magical capabilities presumably comes from his endless years of palisman consumption, which main purpose was to give him immortality at the sake of his own human body, but it ended up being worth the trade-off strength-wise. Belos now has access to telekinesis telekinesis, teleportation, beast summoning, flesh bending, and even some small earth magic. As for which of these has the most destructive capability, it's probably the flesh bending, at least when he is in his final beast form. You know, considering Belos doesn't lose his sense of self in this form during fights, I think it's safe to assume he himself considered that form to be his apex form for combat purposes. I probably said form like 30 times there. It took the combined powers of Luz, Amity, Willow, Gus, and Hunter to hold him back, but they still weren't enough to beat him. You could make an argument that maybe if Hunter wasn't being weakened by the Coven sigil on his arm, then the kids would have had a better chance, but honestly, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I really don't. To each their own, though, on that one, I guess. The beast summoning is solid, too, because of how big the worm monster he used was in Youngblood Old Souls. Big doesn't always mean best, does it? You know, considering only one fire glyph was enough to blow this thing up from the inside. Don't get me wrong, the other abilities he has are great too. You know, being able to throw opponents across an area with just the tip of your finger is great for one-on-one scenarios. And don't even get me started on getting into your opponent's head the way he can. This motherfucker had eyes everywhere around the Boiling Isles. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again, there hasn't been enough on-screen evidence to support his telekinesis being strong enough to lift someone larger than Kikimora inside an Abomatron. Someone can be super fast and super smart, but if the destructive capability isn't there, it's possible for someone like that to only be street level. The same can be applied to Belos' regenerative capabilities. Yeah, it's insanely good in the durability aspect, it just doesn't have destructiveness to it. Props to eating that hit from the Collector and living though. You know, good stuff. All in all, it feels like his biggest feat ends up being the amount of collateral damage he was able to do to the Titan's head in King's Tide. You know, we gotta remember how massive the Titan head is. Obviously, he didn't completely change its shape like the Collector did, but I'm sure we all noticed how much rubble was coming down from the ceiling and all the quakes that were being caused as a side effect of this fight. One last thing I want to address is the potential for Belos in the future. Because as of thanks to them, we learned that the full monster form of Belos is able to take over the bodies of both dead and living creatures. The requirement for this to be done seems to be Belos' green flesh needs to either make direct contact with said bones or enter one's bloodstream like what happened with Hunter. This new ability could be extremely useful, because there's been theories going around lately about how Belos might end up possessing the entire corpse of King's dad, you know, the main Titan. Which if Belos does end up doing that and being successful at, then Belos would go up tenfold in terms of destructive capability. Imagine if Belos is able to use King's screeching attack on top of this. I'm pretty sure that's a move only Titans can use, right? That's scary hours right there. I think that just about covers all the core bases. So just how strong is Emperor Belos? Well, I'd say with the current knowledge we have, as well as what we've seen him accomplish on screen, I'd put him around city block level. However, with how likely I think the Titan possession can be for the story, if he's still going to be as relevant as the crew clearly wants him to be, then he's got large island or maybe even small country level in terms of potential. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, not sure if you guys saw the community post I made a few days ago, but I do plan on taking a bit of a step back from this channel for at least, you know, maybe the rest of the year. And not saying there won't be any videos at all, but the consistency on here likely won't be as high, which isn't even saying much to begin with, but I think I need to do this for my mental sake. Hopefully you guys were able to learn some new things here or gain some insight on power scaling too. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.